The story of the world before the flood has fascinated humanity for thousands of years. Across ancient civilizations, there was a shared belief that humanity once lived during an extraordinary age, a time when people possessed knowledge and abilities that later generations struggled to recover. To many ancient societies, history was not a story of constant progress. Instead, it was a story of rise and fall. The earliest generations were often viewed as closer to the beginning of creation, closer to the source of wisdom, and closer to powers that later humans no longer understood. According to many ancient traditions, something was lost. A civilization existed before the Great Catastrophe. A civilization that reached incredible heights. And then, almost overnight, it disappeared. The flood became the dividing line between two worlds. Before the flood was the age of ancient knowledge. After the flood was the age of rebuilding. But what exactly was this lost civilization? And was it really more advanced than the civilizations that came after it? To answer that question, we have to understand how ancient people viewed technology. Today, when we hear the word technology, we usually think about computers, machines, electricity, and modern engineering. But ancient civilizations had a much broader understanding. Technology was not only about physical inventions. It also included knowledge of nature, astronomy, medicine, agriculture, metalworking, mathematics, and even what they considered spiritual knowledge. To ancient people, the unseen world and the physical world were deeply connected. Magic, ritual, and religion were often considered forms of knowledge, a kind of spiritual technology that allowed humans to interact with forces beyond themselves. This belief appears in many ancient cultures. They often describe the first kings, rulers, and teachers as receiving knowledge from supernatural beings. The earliest civilizations were not simply built by ordinary humans discovering things slowly over time. According to their own traditions, they were taught. They received secrets from beings that existed before them. This idea appears clearly in ancient Mesopotamia. The civilizations of Sumer and Babylon preserved stories about an earlier age when powerful beings brought knowledge to humanity. They described ancient rulers who lived extraordinary lives and possessed wisdom that came from beyond the human world. Later kings claimed that their authority came from this ancient wisdom. They believed they were connected to the knowledge of the first generations. One of the greatest examples of this was the Babylonian civilization. At its height during the Bronze Age, Babylon was one of the most advanced societies on Earth. Modern people often underestimate just how connected and sophisticated the ancient world was. The Bronze Age was not a simple period of isolated villages. It was an international network of trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchange. Metals traveled thousands of miles. Copper from Cyprus and tin from distant regions were transported across enormous distances to create bronze tools and weapons. Luxury goods moved between kingdoms. Ideas traveled with merchants, travelers, and diplomats. The ancient world was far more connected than many people imagine. The Babylonian king Hammurabi ruled during one of the most influential periods of Mesopotamian history. His empire developed advanced systems of law, administration, mathematics, and astronomy. The famous Code of Hammurabi became one of history's earliest written legal systems. But even Babylonian rulers believed their achievements were connected to something older. They claimed that their wisdom came from knowledge that existed before the flood. The idea was not that they invented everything themselves. They believed they had recovered fragments of an ancient inheritance. A memory of a forgotten age. This same idea appears in many cultures around the world. Civilizations often looked backward toward a lost beginning. They believed the earliest humans had access to knowledge that later generations had lost. But this raises a difficult question. Was the world before the flood actually more technologically advanced than the civilizations that followed? The answer depends on what we mean by advanced. There is evidence that ancient civilizations achieved remarkable things. The construction of massive stone structures, advanced astronomical observations, precise calendars, and complex engineering methods demonstrate extraordinary human ability. Sites such as Göbekli Tepe in modern Turkey have changed the way historians think about early human societies. Built thousands of years ago, this site contains massive carved stones arranged in complex patterns. It challenges older assumptions about what early humans were capable of. It suggests that ancient societies may have been more organized and sophisticated than previously believed. However, this does not mean there was a lost civilization with modern technology hidden somewhere in prehistory. There is no clear evidence of ancient electricity, modern machines, or advanced industrial systems existing before known civilizations. The mystery is not that ancient people had technology like ours. The mystery is that they may have achieved remarkable things using knowledge and methods that we still do not fully understand. The ancient world left behind monuments. It left behind artwork. It left behind structures. But often, it did not leave behind explanations. Many ancient builders lived before widespread writing. They could create extraordinary things but did not leave detailed records explaining exactly how they accomplished them. So modern researchers are often forced to study the evidence and make educated conclusions. We can see what they built. We can study their tools. We can examine their remains. But we do not always know their complete methods or beliefs. This is why the world before the flood remains such a powerful mystery. It represents a lost chapter of human history. A time remembered by later civilizations as an age of greatness. An age of wisdom. An age when humanity supposedly knew things that were later forgotten. But Genesis presents a warning hidden inside that story. The problem was never simply knowledge. Knowledge itself was not the enemy. The danger came when humanity gained power without becoming wise enough to handle it. A civilization can become advanced and still become destructive. It can build incredible monuments while losing its moral foundation. It can discover powerful secrets while forgetting responsibility. This idea appears again and again throughout history. Every generation faces the same challenge, not just what can we do, but should we do it? The ancient stories of the flood and the Nephilim suggest that humanity's greatest danger is not ignorance. It is knowledge without wisdom, power without character, progress without restraint. And this brings us to one of the most controversial questions surrounding the Nephilim story. If ancient civilizations believed their knowledge came from supernatural beings, then who were these beings? Were they simply myths? Were they misunderstood symbols? Or did ancient people believe humanity received forbidden knowledge from another realm? To understand the next part of the mystery, we must examine the ancient idea of the sons of God, the spiritual beings connected to the creation of the Nephilim, and the forbidden knowledge that supposedly changed humanity forever. The story now moves from lost civilizations into the world of angels, demons, and the ancient belief that some knowledge was never meant to be given to humanity.